Hello, wrestling fans, boxing fans, and everybody out there. Riot time. Wrestling and boxing forever. Now, we got some things to cover. We're going to start with boxing. Gary Russell Jr. loses his 126-pound championship last night on Showtime. There were some injuries to Gary Russell Jr. He knew about the injury 2 weeks prior, but he made the choice to fight anyway. So kudos to him for the courage. He lost a majority decision. Some people, it's questionable, and to me it's questionable, but you never know what these judges are looking for these days as far as whatever and whatever. Gary Russell Jr. was defeated. We got a new champ. I do think that Gary Russell Jr. should have just took the time off to let his injuries heal so we could get the best Gary Russell Jr. that we could have gotten. I don't think that was the best Gary Russell Jr. We seen the best Gary Russell Jr. and that wasn't it. Like I said, I'm a fan of Gary Russell Jr. I am a fan of Gary Russell Jr. I'm a fan of Gary Russell Jr., like I said, but it wasn't the best him. Nowhere near the best him. Trevor Bryan's promoter, Don King, says Trevor is ready for the top 10 guys, like the Deontay Wilders, the Tyson Furies, the Anthony Joshuas, and other people. But he didn't mention Luis Ortiz. And he didn't mention Emmanuel Char. To me, Emmanuel Char, he was stripped of the belt. He was forced to vacate the belt due to transportation issues and not being able to get over here to defend the title. His promoter was supposed to be helping him out with that, but that didn't happen for whatever reason. So, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, you can agree or disagree with it. It's what you do. Everybody's got a right to their opinion. In my opinion, he should fight Emmanuel Char first. And if he gets past Emmanuel Char, then the conversation starts for Anthony Joshua, so on and so forth. But he's got to fight Emmanuel Char first. He won the title from Romain Stavern. It was an 11th round stoppage, I believe. But he's got to fight Emmanuel Char because to me, that's the only thing he can do at this point, in my opinion. It's only the right thing to do. Let's see. Dillian White what they're doing with Dillian White in the WBC is just wrong. Dillian White, it was an 80-20 split, I believe. It was an 80-20 split. 20 for 20 for Dillian White, 80 for Fury. You know, I was listening to Counterpunch Boxing News with Kurt DeVille. I always listen to him. I'm a fan. Like I said before in a lot of my videos, Kurt DeVille, Bruce Bain, and Showbiz the Adult, Rummy's Corner, heavyweight boxing today. Those are guys that I'm fans of. Um, but what the WBC is doing to Dillian White is wrong. He had been mandatory for so long. It's a shame that he's going through this, and everybody knows it. Lennox Lewis did an interview where he said he should just take the fight because how many opportunities would a person get at the heavyweight championship of the world? He's got a point with that one. And if Dillian White is able to pull out a win, then he has the right for all the bargaining chips. I beat the guy, I want more money. And this 80-20 thing is not working. So sometimes you got to take a loss to get to the big. Sometimes you got to take a loss. But what the WBC is doing with him is wrong. Like he should have been got his shot. Should have been got it. And I'm not the only person with that opinion. So let's move on to something else. The NWA Junior Heavyweight Championship Tournament is ongoing. Kerry Morton beat Jamie Stanley, so Kerry Morton goes on. Darius Lockhart is somebody that I'm looking forward to seeing. Sean Davari, he moved on in the tournament as well. Homicide is in the finals. And there was an empty arena match with George South in which he lost. But it was a knockdown drag-out affair between George South and his opponent. I think his name is Wrecking Ball. I'm not sure. I didn't catch the guy's name. I'm sorry. They hadn't had an empty arena match since Tim Storm and the late Joe Cephas. Rest in peace to Joseph Hudson. He was an NWA guy from the start. Rest in peace to him. The Royal Rumble's coming up soon. Mustafa Ali gets denied his contract release. He went to social media, and asking for his release on social media. And he was denied his release. I mean, what is going on with these people in social media anyway? Like, if you have a grievance in your contract, the worst thing you can do is go to social media. Because Mustafa Ali is not the only person that's done that, and it never ends up too good when people go to social media to grieve about their contracts or whatever the issue. It never ends up too good. It always ends up not looking too good. Anyway, he ends up getting denied. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens signed new contracts with WWE for multi-millions of dollars. And Will Mickey James, who is the Knockouts champion for Impact Wrestling, show up at the Royal Rumble to compete. Lita came back. Will she compete in the Women's Royal Rumble? There's a lot going on, man. But one thing I am looking forward to for the Royal Rumble is Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley. I can honestly say I'm looking forward to that matchup. Carmelo Hayes is the double champion. He won the NXT Cruiserweight and North American Championship. The son of Rick Steiner is the NXT World Champion. The WWE got rid of the Cruiserweight division. They're going to put it away for a while, then bring it back. Put it away for a while, bring it back. You know, it's hard to keep up with what the WWE is doing nowadays. Now, don't get it twisted. I love the WWE. I grew up with it. I always wanted to, when I was a kid, I always wanted to work there and be an athlete there. And I love wrestling, period, as a whole. That's why I started this YouTube channel. So I'm not taking a crap on anybody or anything. But it's really hard to keep up with the WWE these days. Nick Aldis and Nick Aldis is he gave Crimson one heck of a talking to on NWA USA on the NWA YouTube channel. And would this motivate Crimson or Anthony Mayweather as he's going by now? Anthony Mayweather is his real name, y'all. Gave him one heck of a talking to. Would this motivate him to push harder? The British Invasion with Doug Williams, they're definitely coming for those tag team titles. Nick Aldis and Doug Williams. Definitely. But like I said, would this motivate? I believe it would. We'll see what happens, folks. February 12th is an NWA show. It's going to be terrific. Right time. Wrestling and boxing forever. I'm out.